All right, friends, we're back. This is page 2 of the Mod 5 review. Okay, so, and yes, you can hear my dog eating his bone in the background, and I'm sorry about that. It's really loud. Or maybe you can't hear it. I certainly can hear it, and boy, is it irritating. Okay, but welcome to my pain. I thought you should enjoy it too. Okay, so here we go. So f of g of x given the function blah blah, find it, given these two functions, and then we have to find the domain of the composition. Okay, so I am going to find f of g of x, and that equals 1 over x. But instead of x, I am going to put g in there, into those parentheses. So this is the composition, and I'm pretty much done. I mean, there's not really, I guess I can take the parentheses off. That's the answer for the composition. Okay. Then we looked at the second part, which says find the domain. So now this is back to the problem like what we were just doing, where you have to set your denominator equal to 0. Factor it. This is a difference of squares, so hopefully you can factor that pretty easily. And it tells us x can't equal 5, or x can't equal -5 or 5. If you wanted to, could you have added the 25 to the other side and then taken the square root of both sides? Absolutely, that's the square root method. That's totally legit. These, remember, are values that we don't want x to be. We're trying to exclude the ones that don't work, and those definitely don't work because they give us a 0 in the denominator. Open circle, open circle. X can be, oh, that's not much of an open circle, is it? X can be anything except for those values. So right here underneath my answer, I'm going to write my domain, and it's going to be reading from left to right, -infinity to -5, in union with -5 to 5. I should have looked, yeah, 5. In union with 5 to infinity. Sweet. So this is our other answer. Here is the work to support it. Okay, move it on up. Uh-oh. Adjusting, sorry. That's not right either. Okay, so now this one says, find g of f of x given the functions, and then find the domain. Okay, so we're supposed to find g of f of x is equal to, g is the square root of x, so I'm going to put parentheses, and inside those parentheses I'm going to write f, which is x minus 10, if you drew a good 10 or wrote a good 10. Okay, so now I want this to be positive or 0, so x minus 10 has to be greater than or equal to 0, meaning x has to be greater than or equal to 10. So as long as x's are bigger than 10 or bigger, we're in good shape. So that means I could put a 10 in here. Great. I could put an 11, 12, 12.2, 12.7, 92. Like I could put anything that's 10 or bigger. So how would I do this as, hold on, Fitzy. How would I do this as a number line analysis? Closed circle. I heard you, animal. Hold on. Okay. Be back. Gotta let the dog out. Here you go, Stinker. Okay. Sorry. I am back. Welcome to my life. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so in terms of an answer, I probably should have done a better job boxing it up or being clear. Here's the answer, here's the domain. 10 to infinity. Now, because I just got rattled, or not rattled, but I just got distracted by the dog, I'm going to do a quick double check. X minus 10, yes, I need it to be greater than or equal to 0. All of that's true. Bam, nailed it. Okay. Number 8. Find the composition for the following functions. What conclusion can we make about f of x and g of x? Find the composition for the following functions. Okay, so f is 5, x plus 2. We're going to go ahead and put x minus 2 divided by 5 in there. Make sure you're using really good order of operations. There's multiplication here and addition. We're going to multiply first. I'm going to put that 5 over 1. Those guys make a 1, and I get x minus 2 plus 2. Those guys make a 0, and I get x. Cool. Now over here, I am going to do g of f of x, which again, you guys know I like to rewrite that. So g is going to be x minus 2 divided by 5. And inside there, I'm going to put 5x plus 2. Now, according to PEMDAS, I need to work with this top part first. I want to work within my numerator and simplify there. And that gives me 5x divided by 5. And then those guys make a 1 and I get an x. Now, the fact that both of these compositions give me an x tells me that f of x and g of x are inverses. Yes, son? Okay, I'll come deal with it in a little bit. I need you to go to bed. Mommy's working right now. Okay, thank you. I love you. Go back to bed. My son wants to be on this video, I believe. He just came back out. Okay. Next, let's see, number 9. Wait, did we clear that up? F of x and g of x are inverses of each other, and you can tell that because you got an x for both of the compositions. When both compositions equal an x, then you know that they are inverses of each other. So the question, and it'll say something similar to this on your test, what conclusion can we make about f of x and g of x? This is the conclusion, that they're inverses. Okay, ooh, this one looks fun. We've got a graph and all kinds of nonsense to do. Let me zoom a little bit so hopefully you can see the whole thing. I'm having a balancing issue here. What's happening? How can I make that better? I have quite the little contraption here on my... No, I want to go... Ooh, is that going to make it fall? Yeah, that didn't do it, did it? Oh, nailed it. Okay. All right, so here we go. So this one says find the inverse, inverse of x, then graph both f of x and f inverse of x on the axis below, then give the domain and range. So that was a lot of then do this, then do that. So be careful and make sure you answer all of the questions, and I've got to be sure that I do that too. So this is already set up with smart points for you. And when I say smart points, I mean we chose x values here that make your life easier there. You can plug in anything you want into this x. You can plug in a -2, a -1, anything, but all of those are going to be a pain in the butt unless they're a multiple of 3. Multiples of 3 are going to be nice, and I'll show you why right here. If I take 3 and substitute it in, that's actually 3 over 1. Those make a 1, and it's 2 plus 1, which is 3. Okay, that's that one. If I do 0, 2/3 of 0 plus 1 is 1. And if I do the next one, 2/3 times -3 over 1 plus 1, those guys make a 1. I get -2 plus 1, so this is -1. Okay, if I go graph those, which I could have graphed this anyway at 1, up 1, 2 over 3, up 2 over 3, down 2 over 3, down to -3. I'm going to check a couple of those points and make sure they're what I got over here. Did we do 3, 3? We did. Did we do 0, 1? We did. Did we do -3, -1? Yep. Okay, so cool. So the domain of this graph is all reals, because I've got graph happening all the way across. The range is going to also be all reals. Okay, hold on. Gotta take a drink real quick. And I'm looking for a pencil here. I'm not a good pencil, but it'll do. Okay, so now I am supposed to find f inverse. Now, there's a couple of ways to find f inverse. I can do it graphically or algebraically, but because I'm sitting here looking at an x and a y chart, why wouldn't I just do it graphically? I mean, I'm already basically set up for success. So I'm going to go boop, 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 x and y, and I'm going to take each of these x and y values and I'm going to flip-flop them. That's the inverse right there. I could sit here and do the algebra for it, but basically we're going to get this. 3, 3, I need, wait a minute, 1 over 1, 0, so that's there, and then I need -1, -3. So it looks like our slope is up 3 over 2, up 3 over 2, so I'm going to continue that on just to make my line, it makes my line feel a little bit better. Okay, so this is f inverse of x. I'm labeling it because otherwise it would be hard to know which one is which, and I want you to label it so I can tell that you know which one is which. It does not say that I have to do it algebraically, so this is good enough. Then graph both f inverse, or f of x and f inverse of x, which I did right there, and then give the domain and range. Okay. Well, wait, does it say I need to find it? I'm guessing I guess I need to find the... What I'm thinking is that I need to find the equation. It says find f inverse and then graph it. So I guess I do need to. So f of x is equal to 2/3 x plus 1. It's not like this is going to be super uber hard either. And it's probably good practice for us. So I just replaced f of x with y. Now I'm going to actually switch the x's and y's. Okay, and now I'm going to resolve for y. So I'm going to subtract 1 over. And I get this. Now to get rid of that 2/3, I am going to multiply by 3 over 1. Which gives me 3x minus 3 on that side. And it gives me 2y on this side. Divide both sides by 2. And I get y is equal to 3/2 x minus 3/2. Ew, that's not pretty. Is that pretty accurate for what we graphed over here, though? 3.5 or negative 1.5 for my y-intercept, yes. And then up 3 over 2, we know that's the slope, so that looks pretty good. All right, in terms of the domain, it's going to be all reals, and it's going to be all reals. So that's not very exciting. Hopefully you got all that. My one last thing that I didn't do is rewrite f inverse in the correct notation so that it's easy to tell what the answer is. So there is that piece. Graph is there, and then my domain and range are there. Thanks for listening to page 2. Okay, talk to you soon. Bye-bye.